The Galactic Military Academy's training vault had been sealed for 3 centuries. Built by the extinct precursor race, it contained what military historians called the impossible test, a perfect ecosystem populated by the galaxy's most dangerous predators, designed to evaluate survival capabilities under extreme stress. No cadet had ever survived longer than 6 hours inside, which made the Academy Board's decision to lock human cadet Jessica Park inside for disciplinary reasons particularly vindictive. "The human will serve 7 days in the training vault," announced Commandant Vextel to the assembled faculty, his crystalline form flickering with satisfaction. "Perhaps isolation among apex predators will teach her proper respect for authority." Cadet Park had committed the unforgivable sin of questioning her xenobiology instructor's assertion that humans were barely evolved prey animals. Her subsequent demonstration of human combat capabilities had left 3 hegemony cadets in the medical bay and the instructor's ego in pieces. "Sir," protested Dr. Yallara, the Academy's chief medical officer, "the training vault contains creatures that have killed seasoned warriors. Cadet Park is 19 years old." "Exactly," Commandant Vextel replied coldly. "Age-appropriate consequences for species-appropriate behavior." The faculty watched in uncomfortable silence as Cadet Park was escorted to the vault's massive doors. She entered without protest, her expression showing the kind of resignation that comes from dealing with institutional bullying. The doors sealed with a finality that had marked the death sentence of every previous occupant. "How long do you think she'll last?" asked Instructor Krextel, consulting his chronometer. "The Academy record is 6 hours, 14 minutes, replied Dr. Yallara grimly, though that was set by a Zephyrian shock trooper with 30 years of combat experience. "I give the human 2 hours, Commandant Vextel declared. "Deathworlders are supposedly tough, but the vault contains predators from environments that make their homeworld look like a nursery." Inside the training vault, Cadet Park surveyed her new environment with the systematic attention her species had evolved over millions of years of being hunted. The vault was a marvel of precursor engineering, a self-contained ecosystem spanning multiple biomes, each one populated by creatures that had never learned to fear anything. The first predator found her within minutes. The Crimson Stalker was a creature of pure nightmare, 12 feet of muscle, claws, and teeth that had evolved in the lava tubes of Infernus Prime. It could melt through steel with its acidic saliva and track prey across dimensions using quantum-entangled sensory organs. Cadet Park looked at the approaching monster and sighed. Great, another Tuesday. What happened next would be studied by xenobiologists for generations. Instead of running or hiding, Cadet Park began collecting specific minerals from the vault's crystalline formations. The Crimson Stalker's hunting instincts were perfectly adapted to pursuit, but it had never encountered prey that stopped running to gather rocks. By the time the creature reached striking distance, Cadet Park had created a chemical mixture that exploded when exposed to the stalker's acidic saliva. The resulting reaction vaporized the predator and left her with enough acidic residue to dissolve through the vault's reinforced barriers. She used the acid to access the vault's hidden chambers. "Status report," Commandant Vextel demanded after 12 hours had passed without any distress signals from inside the vault. "Unknown, sir," replied the monitoring technician. "Our sensors indicate the human is still alive and mobile, but her behavior patterns don't match any known survival protocols." "Elaborate." "She appears to be hunting, sir." The Academy faculty gathered around the monitoring station as reports filtered in from the vault's automated systems. Cadet Park wasn't hiding from predators, she was systematically eliminating them using their own evolutionary adaptations against them. The Phase Wraith, a creature that existed partially outside normal spacetime, died when she used its own dimensional phasing abilities to trap it between realities. The Void Leviathan, whose black hole heart made it nearly indestructible, collapsed when she triggered a feedback loop in its own gravitational field. "How is she doing this?" demanded Dr. Yallara, studying the combat data with growing amazement. "She's treating apex predators like puzzle boxes," observed Instructor Krextel. "Each one has specific vulnerabilities that she identifies and exploits. But how does she know where these vulnerabilities are?" "She's human," came a quiet voice from the back of the room. Professor Nalteth, the Academy's oldest faculty member, stepped forward with a grim expression. Her species evolved by turning everything on their planet into tools or weapons. They learned to see weaknesses in predators because that's how they survived. By the third day, the vault's ecosystem was in chaos. Predators that had ruled their environments for millennia were disappearing one by one, eliminated by a creature they couldn't understand or counter. On the fifth day, Cadet Park found the vault's central chamber and its ultimate guardian, the Apex King. The Apex King was the precursor's crowning achievement, a perfect fusion of biological evolution and technological enhancement. It possessed the hunting abilities of every apex predator in the galaxy, enhanced reflexes that could track photons, and adaptive camouflage that made it effectively invisible. It had killed the last 3 precursor test subjects before the species went extinct. Cadet Park studied the creature for 6 hours, mapping its movement patterns, analyzing its hunting strategies, and identifying the single flaw in its otherwise perfect design. It had never encountered prey that studied it back. The Apex King died when she used its own adaptive camouflage to create a feedback loop that overloaded its sensory systems. While the creature writhed in sensory paralysis, she delivered a killing blow with a spear she'd crafted from the bones of its previous victims. On the 7th day, the training vault's doors opened. Cadet Park emerged carrying the Apex King's severed head, her uniform torn but her expression oddly satisfied. She looked around at the assembled faculty and administrators with the same calm attention she'd used to study predators. "Cadet Park," Commandant Vextel stammered, "you were supposed to be serving disciplinary time." "I was," she replied, setting the Apex King's head on the nearest table. 7 days in timeout with some overgrown animals, very educational." She looked directly at the Commandant. "Though I have to say, calling humans barely evolved prey animals is pretty funny when you consider that we just spent the last week turning your ultimate predators into hunting trophies." Dr. Ylara was frantically scanning the Apex King's remains. "Cadet, this creature was considered theoretically unkillable." "Everything's killable if you understand how it works," Park shrugged. "Humans have been figuring out how to kill unkillable things since we learned to walk upright." Professor Nalteth stepped forward with something resembling awe. "Cadet Park, you've accomplished what the entire precursor race considered impossible." "I had time to think," she replied. 7 days is a long time when you're locked in a room with things that want to eat you. Eventually, you get bored and start hunting them back." Commandant Vextel stared at the Apex King's head, then at the human cadet who had brought down the galaxy's most perfect predator as a discipline exercise. "Cadet Park," he said carefully, "perhaps we should discuss revising your academic standing." Jessica Park smiled, the same expression she'd worn while studying the Apex King's weaknesses. "That would be appreciated, sir. Though next time you want to punish a human, maybe try detention instead of throwing us into a room full of things to hunt." The training vault was permanently sealed after Cadet Park's graduation. The official reason was ecological disruption, but the real reason was simpler. They had run out of apex predators. The Academy's new policy manual included a specific notation. Disciplinary isolation is not recommended for human cadets, as they appear to view dangerous predators as recreational hunting opportunities rather than deterrents.